Greetings, everyone. Gleekon here again with another episode of Lore of Warcraft. We're wrapping up this fourth negative year, -4 years before the Dark Portal. So stay a while and listen to this one. It's called the Darkening of Karabor. I kind of think it's going to be an extension. I believe the Temple of Karabor was our draenei kind of B capital. The capital that was in, or its main holy capital that was located in Shadowmoon Valley. And we've already established now that Shadowmoon Valley is just jacked. It's totally just destroyed. Fell lava everywhere. The elements raged. So I'm guessing this is just a little bit more of an explanation of that. Let's find out. For weeks, Prophet Velen and the Exarchs had watched the massive Horde army march through Shadowmoon Valley, trampling everything in its path. The draenei did all they could to prepare for the siege. Artificers strengthened the temple's defenses. Vindicators and Rangari from Shatrith City streamed into Karabor's harbor, eager for battle. When the volcano in Shadowmoon Valley erupted in a gout of fell energy, fear raced through Karabor's defenders. Many draenei had heard that the orcs were in league with the Burning Legion, but few had actually seen evidence of it. Now the proof was right before their eyes. Velen walked among Karabor's draenei, imbuing his people with delight and inspiring them with courage. Even as the Horde reached the stronghold and unleashed its siege engines, he remained on the front lines. And there is a main orc base in eastern Shadowmoon Valley. It's one of their biggest main bases. It's where they keep their broken enslaved. It's where I believe one of the main demons is situated. I don't remember which one. Maybe it's Gil'jaeden. Also, this is where they keep their little trapped dragons there, or drakes, or whatever they are. So, to this moment in time, the Fell Legion still, the Fell Horde still does maintain a strong presence there. It's their territory. The Horde's bombardment was relentless. Siege engines hurled boulders imbued with fell energy against the temple's walls until they crumbled. Thousands of howling orcs stormed through the breaches and clashed with Rangari and heavily armored Vindicators. Karabor's defenders fought with a ferocity that the orcs had never witnessed in the draenei before. Against all odds, Velen and his outnumbered forces pushed the Horde back and held the army at bay. For a moment, victory seemed within reach for the draenei, and then it slipped away. Behind Horde lines, Gul'dan and his Shadow Council had found a way to break the stalemate. They had turned their attention to the dark star that drifted over Shadowmoon Valley. Unbeknownst to the orcs, the strange celestial object was the decaying Naru named Kara. The being had succumbed to shadow, and its body exuded potent void energies. The Shadowmoon orcs had long known that the dark star pulsed with extraordinary power, but they had treated the object as sacred. For generations, the clan forbade anyone from tapping into its energies. Gul'dan and his warlocks cared little for such ancient laws. As one, the Shadow Council conducted a ritual that drew out the Dark Star's power and channeled it on Karabor. A pillar of void energy ripped through the heavens and slammed down atop the draenei positions in the temple. Many of the defenders died instantly. Others were driven to madness by the waves of shadow magic that engulfed the city. Calling on every ounce of his willpower, Velen narrowly held the void at bay. He rallied what survivors he could and led them on a daring escape toward Karabor's harbor. As the Horde renewed its assault on the temple, the Prophet and his people sailed out of harm's reach. That's another thing. How does everything get ripped up into the sky? Unlike regular warlords of Draenor, like, why is this all up in space? Though Velen survived, Karabor was lost. The influx of void energy forever darkened the once glorious stronghold. It would become known as the Black Temple. So the little Temple of Karabor, or whatever they have, that's a like kind of like a replacement little tent-side village. The Black Temple, the main raid of Burning Crusade, that is Horde territory now. Burning Crusade territory, more appropriately. The victorious Horde stormed through Karabor's streets and celebrated its triumph by desecrating the draenei's holy relics. The orcs rooted out the defenders who remained. Few were shown the mercy of a quick death. The Horde took many of them prisoner. Gul'dan immediately claimed the Black Temple. Publicly, he stated that it would serve as a fortress to hold draenei prisoners, where he and a handful of warlocks could interrogate the captives. In truth, the Black Temple would act as a new base of operations for the Shadow Council. Gul'dan convinced Blackhand that separating his clandestine order from the Citadel would allow the Shadow Council to remain unseen by the rest of the Horde. The reality was that Gul'dan also wanted to distance himself from the war chief so that he could work free from Blackhand's ever-watchful eyes. Gul'dan and his Shadow Council took charge of the draenei prisoners. They subjected the captives to brutal torture to gather what information they could about Shattrath's defenses. In time, they discovered much about the city. Shattrath boasted a larger garrison than Karabor, and it would be much harder to conquer. It would be the greatest challenge the Horde had ever faced. Alright, and I wonder, I can't remember if you fight Gul'dan or not there in the Black Temple as well, but the Black Temple is definitely like the major final raid in Burning Crusade. I mean, maybe not in terms of release date. Isle of Quel'Thalas might have come after that. I can't quite remember. That's, I think, the most endgamey of the Burning Crusade type stuff. But originally, this was definitely the pinnacle of that expansion. And there's all kinds of elements to it. And that's interesting to note that it is a draenei city. One of the biggest. And it was simply corrupted and taken over. All right, so neat. That's a good one. Another episode in the pipes, 5x5. Thank you so much for listening. And I will see you on the next episode of Lore of Warcraft.